And welcome to Hero Power. This is episode 79, and I am your host, Avantes. And as always, I am joined by my co hosts, Zeroshio.
I still can't get enough of that intro. I love it.
Well, I got news for you. And first, Versika.
I'm going to steal your thunder. I actually have a copy of this in high quality that Kurt sent us that will be available to our patrons.
Sweet.
And we'll be making that available at some point this week.
That's absolutely right.
I'm a patron now, so that's awesome.
I just downloaded it and listened to it right before we went on the air, and it's awesome. It's about 49 seconds long, the whole thing, and it just is so good. So
we want to thank Kurt for making that available to our patrons.
Absolutely. That is just awesome. So
do we want to go ahead before we get on to our Viforce and mention our next patron goal?
Go ahead.
Since we're on the topic.
Have at it.
All right. So obviously Kurt is we've been boasting about his music, and obviously you all can hear it. It's wonderful. He's actually working on some projects for us for our next big project. We're going to set our next patron goal of $200. Now, the $200 patron goal of Avanti's Going to Beard will still be there, but added to it, once we hit the $200 goal, we would do a twice a month bonus show of the Alchemy Lab. It'll be an extra show twice a month, and that the money that we raise towards that will help us get it up to the production level that we have this show. So please go ahead and check us out over at patreon.com/heropower. Once we hit that goal, we'll get that rolling, and thank you.
All right, there you go, guys. New patron goal for a new show. Get 2 additional hours of, or maybe more, I don't know, of the Hero Power crew each month. That could be awesome.
It will at least be 2 extra hours of
content. So make sure you tell your friends who may not be patrons about what all you have as a patron, the benefits to you, and help us reach that goal so that we can bring you more content, because there's nothing we really enjoy more than making content about Hearthstone. So
Yep.
All right, well, before we get to the news, Zeroshio, tell us a little bit about Viforce.
All right, so we've talked about Viforce, obviously, every week. We know how great Viforce is. I want to give a couple personal experiences. Neonic in chat actually mentions that he did a quote for a custom build from Viforce earlier this week. He heard back in 2 days with a thorough quote that explained the limitations of the build further than he had ever requested it, and they are great service. Along that same lines, I've been working on a custom build for my personal PC that I'm going to be taking to Dreamhack. They have been very understanding and patient with me because of my build, and my requirements and limitations are rather specific. And they've been nothing but great. And I'm at the final steps of that process, and I'll talk about more about that on the second half of the show. But if you want to know more about Viforce, you can go to viforcegaming.com to get more information, or go to heropowerhs.com and click on the Viforce link. It'll take you right there.
All right, there you go. So this week, we had an overload of iTunes reviews last week. We greatly appreciate those. No new ones this week, so we can jump right into the news. Before I do that, though, I almost forgot we do have an email. It did not make it into the show notes, so give me just a second to pull that up. I almost forgot. That would have been bad.
And are we doing our giveaway this week or next week?
I could probably have that ready to go here in the next little while. So, all right.
I just realized it's May.
It's the first Wednesday of May. It is. All right. Yeah. So the email reads, "Hey gang, for me to really get into Hearthstone esports like I would football, basketball, Blizzard needs to be more specific with their scheduling, such as who is playing who, as they do in the global games, for example. For example, I know my San Antonio Spurs are playing on Monday night at 8:30 against the Houston Rockets. I don't want to get on and hope my favorite team/player is playing. Also, I think Blizzard should have multiple Twitch streams during big tournaments like they do, like their playoffs. That way I can watch who I want to watch and not hope they switch to them, or at least offer us some way to spectate them. Not really spectate, but be able to watch the match live without commentators, or maybe with commentators. I don't know. Do you think Hearthstone esports would be more of a thing if scheduling was more specific, and if they offer multiple viewing sources during big tournaments? Signed, Ducharmo. So, Versika, we'll start with you. What do you think about Blizzard's scheduling of tournaments?
Well, I really like the premise of that question, and I think if you could figure out the logistics, that is a very desirable format. I think the problem lies in really a couple of places. Most of the time, the casters are at the venue of a big tournament, so that combined with the tournament participants, you're looking at having to manage bandwidth almost from the get-go. And you want to keep the tournament environment stable. The more streams you would be offering could affect bandwidth and stability. But, for some places, that's going to be more of a problem than others. I think the biggest problem would just be tracking the viewership. Because, ultimately, you want to know people are watching, and that generates ad revenue and so on and so forth. I would like to see at least options. Like if you had the top 3 matches going, that would be pretty cool. And you could choose from the 3. Once again, the problem would be casting them. I think Blizzard does a pretty good job managing their casting talent and making sure that they're just not sitting there for 10 straight hours casting match after match. So they'd have to have a larger stable of casters, because I think if they're going to do those other streams, they would probably be casting those as well.
Okay, that makes sense. Zeroshio, what are your thoughts?
I have a lot of thoughts on this. I understand Ducharmo's desire, and I like it too. I'd like to be able to have a set of players that I watch, and just like I do with a lot of other esports that have teams. Now, the difference is for things like Heroes, Overwatch, CSGO, League of Legends, most of those big tournaments that are on a regular schedule that have specific teams that people are fans of, most of those tournaments are 16 to 32 team tournaments, where in Hearthstone, because it's a solo game, usually those tournaments are upwards of 250 people in them. So it's really hard to schedule a lot of that. Secondly, most of your Hearthstone tournaments aren't even ran by Blizzard. They're ran by other organizations like Dreamhack and ESL and those type of series. Seat Story does their own stuff. And so for all of those to have different continuity with different production groups, different tournament organizers, it'd be really difficult to do, and it would hamstring a lot of those organizations to do them specifically the way Blizzard would want them to. Now, for the 8CT itself, Blizzard does a pretty good job of letting everybody know when it's going to be and who's going to be the featured matches, and have that scheduled a lot like what they're doing right now with the Hearthstone Global Games, HGG. And that's something that they can control. And a lot of the tournaments that they do, they have their stable of casters that go to a specific site and cast it, which makes that possible. And they have very strict guidelines for the production crew on who is spectating and when to do the scene switches and breaks and things like that. Where things like Seat Story and the online tournaments like ESL, a lot of times they get casters to do it right out of their house. So that's also a limitation that makes it difficult. And and the production crew is usually a couple guys at a computer that's changing screens and communicating via Skype. So that's really, to me, that's the limitations. But I would love to see it. But I don't think Hearthstone will ever get to the point where you can have big fandoms and big groups following specific players or even a team of players.
Okay, cool. So there you go, DeCharmo. I think, as the guys said, it's probably more a scheduling nightmare than anything else, and making sure you have the proper bandwidth to cover all those angles and shots that you were talking about. But it would be cool. I think it would definitely improve viewership, as you said in your email.
Now, bringing up real quick, just to chime back in, Boyd mentions I like the qualifiers to have split streams like the Red Zone channel. And this is something Ducharme also kind of mentioned. They did this for the Tespa Collegiate Series, where they had multiple players on each team playing, and they would kind of switch between the matches. And on Reddit and some of the Twitch chat, there was a lot of flack saying they wanted them to just focus on one match and not jump all over the place. So you kind of, it's like having your cake and eating it too. Now, if you could specifically focus on certain matches, maybe that would be good, but then you would almost triple your production size to do that.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, guys. Well, let's get into the news. This past weekend was Dreamhack Austin. It was they had the Hearthstone Grand Prix there, like they do every year. They had 200 players, and after 2 days of intense gameplay, they narrowed it down to a top 16. And there were there was actually a lot of recognizable, known people in the top 16. What really stood out was 4 different members of Team Tempo Storm made it into that top 16. Now,
yeah, it was Eloise, Just Saying, Reynad, and their most recently acquired from Solo Mid, Trump.
That's correct. And so, unfortunately, only 3 of those, I say unfortunately, but 3 of those 4 made it into the top 8. And we narrowed it down to the final 4 for the Hearthstone Grand Prix. It was Shoop, Trump, Reynad, and Mr. Lego. Mm-hmm. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but Mr. Lego was a relative unknown coming into this. Is that right? I personally had never heard of him.
Yeah, I believe Shoop has done some LAN tournaments, but
I'm familiar with Shoop.
Yeah, but he's not on a team or anything. Now, Mr. Lego, if I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to remember. I think it's CS:GO. He plays in another esport.
Okay.
And kind of just branched over to Hearthstone.
Okay. Well, he ended up knocking Eloise out of that top 8, and then went on to actually make it all the way to the finals against Shoop. And it was a good match. I watched it. I watched it in its entirety, and Shoop just really played well. Like, he was on par with all of his plays, and it was a great match. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, highly recommend you go back and check out the VOD for Dreamhack. But Zeroshio, what were your big takeaways from Dreamhack this weekend?
My biggest takeaway is that there were 234 competitors. That was the final number at registration. And they ran 9 rounds of Swiss. Now, last year, it went right up to the wire on time. And a lot of the players were kind of complaining about it. And they were a little apprehensive because they were doing the same format this year. But I think the players realized where cutoffs were, and you had dropouts happen fast enough that it made the tournament smoother. And the tournament was extremely smooth. They got some top-notch casters, including Cora, friend of the show. And the production level was really good. I'm hoping that they mirror this kind of attention to the Hearthstone Grand Prix at DreamHack when they come to Atlanta here in July.
Yeah, absolutely. Versika, did you get to watch any of DreamHack this past weekend?
I didn't. I'm trying to even remember what I did this last weekend. I've slept since then. But no, I didn't. I didn't end up getting to watch any. Actually, I didn't watch any tournament at all this weekend. I mean, normally I'm glued to the HGC during league play. But I didn't even watch any of that this weekend. I honestly can't remember what. I was in. Never mind. I had to go out of town this weekend, so no, I didn't get to. I didn't get to watch any.
Oh, okay.
It's like, what did I do? But yeah, I had to make an unscheduled trip outside of town. In fact, I actually had. I left during the Patron tournament. So it was one of those unexpected trips.
Gotcha.
One notable thing was Dog went 9-0 in the Swiss rounds, and they expected him to take the whole tournament. And I think he ended up, if I'm not mistaken, losing to Shoop in the first round of the elimination bracket.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
I believe that sounds right. And Shoop was just on point. Last year's winner was Chalky, and he also made it to the top 16. He won last year with a N'Zoth Paladin. Coincidentally enough, the deck that we're going to be showing tonight is Shoop's N'Zoth Paladin. So this is the second year in a row that N'Zoth Paladin actually took DreamHack Austin, and that's kind of neat. We also saw Chalky and Terrence in the round of 16 face each other, and it was neat to see a rematch of last year's finals. They're just doing a really good job with these DreamHack tournaments.
Yes, they really are. And speaking of tournaments that Versika apparently didn't watch this weekend, was the Hero Power Patron tournament.
Oh no, I watched that
one. It was a fantastic time. This was the second tournament we've done for our patrons. So basically, if you're not familiar, every 3 months we are doing a Hero Power Hearthstone Invitational tournament leading up to our Grand Finals tournament in November. And basically, to enter, all you have to do is be a patron. $5 or more a month guarantees you a spot in the tournament. All you have to do is show up and play. If we don't have enough to fill the tournament, then we open it up to all of our patrons of any level and allow them to come in and play too. So we had a great showing this past weekend. It was a lot of fun. Our final 4 players were Inked, Boyd, Neonic, and Ringo. And Inked played against Boyd for our third place match, and Boyd took that match, and it was really took the set in what was really a great match. It was well played by both players, and that left Neonic versus Ringo in our finals, and both of these guys are really well versed in tournament play. Neonic has played in a lot of our firesides. He's played in a lot of our Tavern Hero qualifiers. Ringo,
he's an accomplished legend player. I have to say that out loud.
Yeah. And Ringo has had success in previous patron events like the Worthy Opponent tournaments. Mm-hmm. So this was set to be a great match, and it was. Ringo ended up defeating Neonic 3-1, besting Neonic's Pirate Warrior deck, and it was a great match, well played by everybody involved, and we just can't say thank you enough. As far as prizes go, Ringo took first place, which was $30. Neonic came in second, taking home $20, and Boyd got $10 for his third place finish. So if you guys are interested and want to participate in the next one, which is going to take place in early August, all you have to do is go to patreon.com/heropower and sign up. It's that easy.
And furthermore, if you help us reach our next goal of $200 through Patreon, the prizes for these tournaments are going to go up based on the size of our Patreon account. So that just means these prizes are just going to get bigger, and the competition is great. I really do appreciate everybody coming out.
More patrons equals more players equals more prizes.
Absolutely. And if we get to 200, more shows, because we're going to start doing Alchemy Lab on a more regular basis. So just throw that out there. There's multiple reasons for you to sign up right now. All right.
Right.
So something I want to talk about real quick that's not in the show notes.
Lord.
As a lot of you guys know,
Becoming a trend.
Yeah, as a lot of you guys know, I'm an innkeeper, and one of the things that I do as an innkeeper is organize events, and like Tavern Hero qualifiers. Well, innkeepers are volunteers. There's a lot of stipulations to being an innkeeper. We cannot play in our own events as far as Tavern Hero qualifiers go. So to be an innkeeper, you really have to have a love for the game and a love for the community. Those are two big things. And as players, you have to understand that the innkeepers are doing this because they enjoy it. And that sometimes innkeepers are human and mistakes happen. And it's really bad when something bad happens to a player who has no control over it because of, say, an inexperienced innkeeper. And there's a post on Reddit right now which is picking up a lot of steam. And it's about a player who competed and won in a Tavern Hero qualifier. And it was one of the first Tavern Hero qualifiers ever run in his area. He was really excited for it. He went out and played. It was a field of 32 competitors who were all vying for that one spot. And he got it. So, what happened? Well, a month goes by, and he's talked to the innkeeper, and the innkeeper says, yeah, I'm submitting the results. Everything's going to be great. Yesterday, May 2nd, is when the emails went out for the Tavern Hero Championship, which takes place this Saturday, May the 6th. He didn't get an email from Blizzard. So he reached out to me this morning, knowing that I'm an innkeeper, and asked me, is it possible that they've not sent out all the emails? I said, I don't know. Let me see what I can find out for you. Well, unfortunately, one of the rules, besides that you can't play in your own events, is that all reports have to be submitted within 7 days of the event. Otherwise, the event is basically deemed ineligible. And apparently, this innkeeper wasn't familiar with the rule. The way I understand it, I don't know him, I've not met him, but he's run fireside gatherings before. Firesides are very laxed in their rules. You can run a fireside and just report it whenever. Because firesides are for fun. Tavern Hero qualifiers are competitive, and they are very strict on the rulings. And apparently, the innkeeper in question was not familiar with the rule and did not submit the results in time, deeming the entire event ineligible, which is an awful thing for everybody involved, but especially for the player that won. And he's getting a lot of support from the Reddit community. And guys, this stuff happens. People are only human. Humans are going to make mistakes. And I would say to everybody that was involved in this, I know it's rough. Try not to get too upset. And if he decides to do another Tavern Hero Championship or another Tavern Hero qualifier, give him another shot. It's a learning experience. As an innkeeper, there's a lot going on, and you kind of have to roll with the punches. So get out there, support your local Hearthstone communities, because without the players, without these volunteers, this stuff doesn't happen. All right, so get out there and support your communities.
So I do have one thing that I want to add to this, though. If you are thinking about running an event, do your due diligence. There are people depending on you to run this event and know what you're doing and know how to do what you need to do. So, from the player's perspective, this is having to play through a field of 32. You spend a month practicing, preparing for an event that you now don't get to compete in. That's a big deal. So yes, the innkeeper messed up, and yes, it's only, we're human, we make mistakes. But if you're going to volunteer to do something like this, you need to know the difference between submitting your results as a fireside and submitting them as a THQ. That's on you as the event runner. So it's something that Avantes does very well. When he gets into something, he makes sure that he knows what's going on, and he double checks and follows up to make sure that he has it right. It's one of the reasons why he's been successful. It's one of the reasons why he is the engineer and the lead in getting Hero Power to look and sound the way it does, is because he does his due diligence. He learns the programs. He asks the questions. If you're going to volunteer to do this kind of stuff, then you need to make sure you're asking the questions. You need to make sure you know what you're doing and when you need to do it. So, just my 2 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to kind of put my piece in here as well, this innkeeper, and we're not going to go into too much detail on him, but this innkeeper is new at running these THQs. He made a mistake. I'm sure he'll learn a lesson from this going forward. And Reddit can be kind of hard on people in these type of posts. And Blizzard has done everything they possibly can, and they're continuing to help this competitor out. Again, we don't know if they're going to be able to let him in for the tournament coming up is it this weekend?
This Saturday.
This Saturday or not. But I'm sure they're doing everything they can to help this player out, and also help out the innkeeper that ran that event, so that this doesn't happen again in the future. It's unfortunate, but unfortunately, these type of things do happen. If he doesn't play, I'm sure he'll get some kind of swag bag or something from Blizzard. They'll help him out in some way. They'll help him in some way. Maybe they'll get him invited to the next season or something. Who knows what they'll be able to do. But Blizzard's going to do everything they can to make this right. And if they can't make it right the way he wants it, they'll do everything in their power to make up for it, I guess. Yeah,
you need to make
education's
sure
a big
you
thing.
know the rules. Yeah.
Yeah.
As an innkeeper, you need to make sure you know the rules.
It's unfortunate, but I think we'll move forward on this, and it'll make everybody more intelligent and prepared in the future.
Yeah. All right. So, moving on. We've got the Hearthstone Global Games. Last week was week 3. This week started week 4. Tomorrow, USA plays versus Romania.
No, that's today.
Group. That is today, isn't it?
It just ended.
Okay.
It just ended, and they were able to defeat Romania 3-2.
USA. So that makes them 9-3 now overall, right?
Yeah, they're 3-0 in their matches, and they are 9-3 in their total games, which is really good.
Yeah.
This should solidify their position going into the next round of round robin. Right. Again, there's 10 weeks in this first round robin, where there's 8 groups of 6, and then the next, I believe it's 6 weeks, and it's 6 groups of 4.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So, I only got to watch very little today. Was really busy at work. I'm gonna have to go back. I want to go back and watch the USA Romania match, just because I like watching US play. Anything else that stood out to you guys, Versika?
I really like this format, so I'm enjoying watching the global games. I mean, there's not much more that can be said for that. They're playing really great Hearthstone. I like watching what's going on. So
Okay.
we'll hope that come ACT time that they are the games are as good and that they're as compelling.
Okay. Zero, anything you wanted to add about the HGG?
Where we just heard that USA has gone 3-0 and are dominating their group. Over in Group H, Ukraine is doing very similar in that group. So I believe you might see some of the cream of the crop rising up right now. And Canada, United States, and Ukraine are really powerhousing through these groups. It'll be interesting to see what groups they get matched in the next round of round robin, and hopefully we can avoid USA can avoid some of those heavy hitting teams until the later stages for some really good competitive Hearthstone. One other thing that's starting to be noticed, we've talked about how each team has to bring all 9 classes and they have the ace matches, and this type of format is allowing all the classes to shine. Well, you're starting to see a few of the classes start to pull away or fall underneath the other ones. Warlock is in a really bad spot right now. They're doing everything they can to not queue up with Warlock or pair it with a more powerhouse class right now, like Paladin. Paladin is really rising to the top. So Paladin is kind of your top tier 1 class of all 9 classes, and your Warlock is on the very bottom. And I think you're going to see that in HCT, where you're going to see a lot of Paladin, and you probably won't see any Warlock at all. But other than that, the other 8 classes are being played and being played well.
Okay, cool. Well, I think we are ready to pick our random winner for the month. Again,
Ooh.
This is a patron reward. If you are a patron of $5 a month or more, you are automatically entered to the drawing. $5 gets you 1 entry. $10 gets you 2 entries, 15 3, 24, so on, so on. So you have the best chance to win. All right, guys, let's flip over here, and we don't have it. Why don't we have it? Hang on. I just saved it.
You tell us.
Live television. Gotta love it, right?
That's right.
Going off show notes twice in an episode. At least you played the right entry music this time.
Yeah.
All right. Go away. All right. So, our winner for the month of May is... Congratulations to Jake Boss.
Jake Boss.
You
Congrats,
are
bro.
our May winner of a $20 Hearthstone card. And
Battle.net.
we'll be, Battle.net card. We'll be contacting you in the next few days with that. So again, congratulations.
Actually, I love seeing that name come up, but I don't see it as Jake Boss. I see it as Cake Boss. And it just makes me hungry.
All right. Well, that brings us to this week's Tavern Brawl, which, if you have not heard as of yet, is another heroic Tavern Brawl, as we have seen in the past. However, unlike we've seen in the past, this is not standard. This is a wild-specific heroic Tavern Brawl, which I find exciting because I'm a fan of the wild format. And if you don't know, they announced this month that the top 64 players in Wild Ladder will get an invite later in the year to a Wild-only tournament. So, sounds like we've really starting to see some push for the Wild format. I know they were waiting for more cards to rotate into that format, which I find exciting. So the question, I guess, is because this is 1,000 gold to get in or a $10 buy-in, do either of you gentlemen, Zeroshio, we'll start with you, plan on participating in the Wild Heroic Tavern Brawl this week?
I would love to. I don't have the gold, and I can't afford the $10 buy-in right now. So it's probably not going to happen. I think I'm up to 300 gold because I've been making sure to play Arena and actually buy some packs so I can be competitive on both the ladder and Team Hearth League coming up.
Okay.
So unfortunately, I'm probably not going to do this now. Everybody's saying this is the first wild Heroic Tavern Brawl, which isn't entirely true, if I'm not mistaken. Did the very first one, wasn't it before the standard flip, or am I wrong on that?
I think it was after the standard flip.
Okay, okay. Maybe this is the first wild. I thought the first one was before the standard flip, but I guess I'm wrong on that. Wild is being focused on a lot. I'm really excited to see some of the pro players focus on this Wild Heroic Tavern Brawl because they're also preparing for Wild Ladder, trying to get into the top 64 for that, to get invited to that tournament. Really excited to see how the pros spin on Wild. I think you will see a lot of really neat tech with Ngoro being in the mix. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Okay. Versika?
I will not be participating in this Tavern Brawl. I don't like the heroic brawls in general. I think they're a money sink. So for me, it's not. I don't know. The risk versus reward isn't there. From my point of view. That being said, now that the wild format has more cards, I am going to kind of step back and take a closer look at it. Up until this point, I've not been the least been interested in Wild, mostly because I don't like the Goblins versus Gnome expansion. I don't like what it did to the Hearthstone meta. So a lot of it will depend on the amount of influence that expansion has over the Wild format in general. If it continues to be dominated by GVG, then that's to each their own.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that I'm cautiously optimistic that I can reevaluate my opinion, and that combination of Whispers and Goro, and hopefully the next two sets will expand the card pool so much that GVG at the very least gets watered down. So
okay. All right. Well, this is not a very new player friendly brawl. And as you guys know, one of our really close friends over at Legend of the Innkeeper, Espo, is very big on the new player experience. So let's throw it over to Espo in the salt mines. Oh, wait, it's too dark to see anything, and he probably can't hear us anyway. So let's bring it back. Bring it back. No Espo in the salt mine tonight. But, you want to find out his thoughts, you can check out Legend of the Innkeeper on Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock. So, all right, guys, that brings us to this week's deck list. And this, as Zeroshio alluded to earlier in the show, we are checking out one of the 4 decks Shoop used to win Dreamhack Austin. And this is his N'Zoth Paladin deck. So I'm going to give a rundown of the deck real quick, and then I'll pitch it over to Zeroshio to kind of talk a little more about it. So, the deck contains 1 Forbidden Healing, 2 Dirty Rats, 2 Doomsayers, 2 Equality, 2 Wild Pyromancer, 2 Acolyte of Pain, 2 Aldor Peacekeeper, 1 Wicker Flame Burn Bristle, 2 Consecration, 2 Infested Tauren, 2 True Silver Champion, 1 Elise the Trailblazer, 1 Cairn Bloodhoof, 2 Ivory Knight, 2 Spike Ridged Steed, 1 Lay on Hands, 1 Ragnaros Lightlord, 1 Tyrion Fordring, and 1 N'Zoth Corruptor. All right, Zeroshio, take it away.
This is a very fun deck. Yes, it looks a lot like the DreamHack Austin 2016 deck list. You do see some variations of some Ungoro cards in here, like the Spike Ridge Steed and Elisa Trailblazer. This deck, I'm playing it on the ladder right now with very good results. I've only got 5 games in so far. I'm 5-0 with it. It does suffer a little bit to very fast aggro, but you can win those matches if you get some early drops like Dirty Rat or Doomsayer. N'Zoth in here is definitely your finishing punch, with board clears out there with Mage and of course Brawl with the for the Quest Warrior, the Taunt Warrior. You want to time your N'Zoth. Twice so far in my 5 games, I've been able to at least a Trailblazer get in my pack, and my pack has contained Pyros. So you might want to hold off your N'Zoth until you at least see what you have in your pack, because as you see in here, your only Death Rattle minions are Tyrion, Cairn, and 2 copies of Infested Tauren. So because of that, you're not going to have a huge punch, and you might be able to get a few more Death Rattle minions out of your pack that'll help out. Getting some 6/6 Pyroses out is pretty cool.
Okay, cool. Well, I unfortunately did not get a chance to play this deck this week because I've just been so busy at work and other things. And I know we were kind of late getting the deck list out. Versika, have you played any Paladin lately?
Well, I haven't. I'm not as big a fan of the class as the two of you, but the deck list, I actually played almost this exact same deck list during Mean Streets. The only difference is Elise and the Spike Ridged.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a solid deck list if you like Control Paladin, and I feel like this meta is, excuse me, I'm about to lose my voice, is capable of allowing this deck to get going. So I think it's a solid include. I think, excuse me, once again, I think the key to this deck is knowing when to Dirty Rat, when to Wild Equality, and as long as you can maximize the effect of those 2 mechanics, I think you have a solid chance to win over just about any class out there. I think one of the things that I found during playing this deck was that Ragnaros Lightlord often ended up being my win condition and sealing the game for me. Most of the time, after all my other threats had been taken care of, when Rag Lightlord hit the table, they most of the time just conceded.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, right now, a popular deck because of the tournament scene is this Gunther Mage, or they call it Discover Mage. And really the big thing is to get you down to 15 with Alexstrasza, or just from a combination of minions and small burn, and then basically 2-turn kill you with burn straight to your face in combination with their ice block. With this deck, you can basically bait out a lot of that burn. If they can't get their Alexstrasza, or if they get their Alexstrasza, you can immediately heal up. If they can't get their Alexstrasza and have to burn you down to round 10 so their Pyroblast will kill you, then you can turn around and use Forbidden Healing, or the various other healing spells, Ragnaros Lightlord and so forth, to get yourself above that 15 health threshold. And the game's pretty much easy at that point. At the same note, you can also tempo out against the Control Warrior right now, whether it's the Quest version or just the grindy, big minion and armor version. and you can just kind of grind them out by just out healing them and tempoing out good minions using Spikered Steed.
Yep.
I do want to add that I think that this is pretty funny because a month ago we were worried about where Paladin and Priest were going to be in Un'Goro.
Oh yeah.
And I think they've solidified themselves as solid contenders in this current meta. And I think that that is a sign that Blizzard is at least paying attention to balance issues and attempting to balance classes without removing the inherent flavor of the hero and what that class brings to the table. It's a hard job, and I know a lot of times we are I think a lot of times, me especially, we're hard on Blizzard as far as how slow they are to balance the meta. But one of the things that we see Blizzard doing a lot in Hearthstone is making small changes and seeing how they affect the meta from a long point of view. And while it's frustrating sometimes, I do feel like they're doing a good job of making small changes and getting big results. So hopefully they'll continue on this trek and they'll get everything figured out. And by this time next year, we're talking about all 9 classes being viable and having to prepare for all 9 classes. And I think that that is going to be something, if they can sustain that, I think it's going to be something that sets them aside as a great CCG.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And just to kind of piggyback on that, just for a moment, Paladin's in a good spot right now. Not just, there's this awesome Paladin deck and it's running away and it's hard to beat. There's an aggro variant of Paladin, there's a mid-range variant of Paladin, and there's a control variant of Paladin. On the flip side, there's other classes like Priest has like a mid-range and a control variant. Your Shaman has a mid-range and a control variant that's strong right now. Your Hunter's kind of weird because it has like 3 different variations of mid-range, but they all play differently. So I really like, even if there's only 4 or 5 standout classes, the fact that there's 2 or 3 good archetypes, good decks within those classes, I don't see the meta getting stale until right before the next set's coming out.
Okay, cool. Well, that's going to pretty much do it for the audio portion of the show tonight. Let's talk last minute thoughts. For Sika, I know you're not going to be able to stick around for the play portion tonight. You've got something you've got to do. So we'll start with you. What did you think, or what are your last thoughts for tonight?
Well, yeah, I am going to miss the second part of the show because my mother-in-law is coming into town. My wife graduates on Friday, so we are kind of in prep for that. So got to head to the airport.
Congratulations, Miss Versika.
Congratulations.
Yeah, pretty excited about it. It's a big deal. So yeah, just I think right now, if you're a deck builder, or if you are someone that likes to experiment with decks, I think the meta is still in a good spot for that. So we're almost a month into Un'Goro, and I feel like there's still a place for us snowflakes. So don't give up on it, and keep playing around. We saw some interesting and creative decks in our patron tournament this weekend, and I actually played around with some of those yesterday, and advanced a couple of ranks. I don't think I lost with any of our patron decks yesterday. So awesome. It's a fun time to still experiment, and but it's not going to be too much longer until the next set's out. So it'll be pretty exciting, and I think that if they can make a few more minor tweaks, I think this game will be in a really good spot, and I think we'll see it start to gain traction again. So I'm excited. Oh, and congrats to Blizzard for reaching 70 million Hearthstone players. That's a pretty awesome number.
Yep. Go ahead, Zeroshio.
Just to mention on that, Blizzard hit 70 million Hearthstone players. If you have not logged into Hearthstone recently, but you're happen to be listening to the show, you log in sometime. I believe it's anytime in the month of May.
Yep. Right
now, you get 3 free Un'Goro packs for Blizzard hitting that milestone of 70 million.
Yep, that's awesome. Now,
my final thoughts.
yep.
Esports is in a good spot for Hearthstone right now. Dreamhack Austin just ended. The HGG Hearthstone Global Games is going on right now. It's going to be a good few more months of that. The HCT Hearthstone Championship Tour summer season's about to kick off. It's summer, right? Or
Yep.
is it spring? It's
Well,
summer. That's right.
Spring is going on now. Summer
Yes,
will
that's
be
right.
the next season.
So we've ended the spring season, and we're about to do the Tavern Hero Championships and the playoffs for spring.
Correct.
And then we're going to be getting into summer. And all this is springing towards DreamHack. I'm really excited that DreamHack Austin was so successful for the second year in a row. And I'm hyped to see how much of that enthusiasm gets carried over to DreamHack Atlanta in July, and then furthermore, DreamHack Denver, Colorado later this year.
All right. Awesome. Well, my only final thought is if you want more hero power, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/hero power. We hit that $200 goal. We will be launching a new show twice monthly called The Alchemy Lab. And we will also, you'll also be eligible to join our private Discord server and our private Facebook group, and be eligible for tournaments. So, cash prizes in all the tournaments, guys. It's a lot of fun. Come hang out with us, join us. I would hope you wouldn't be disappointed. So, all right. Well, that's going to do it for us this week. If you're joining us on Twitch or YouTube, please stay tuned for the live play portion of our show. If you are listening via our audio podcast, we'd like to thank you for joining us. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at HeroPower_cast. You can find all of our past episodes on YouTube at youtube.com/ECMMOGamers or on our website at HeroPowerHS.com. If you enjoy the show and you would like to help support and improve it, again, you can do that by checking out Patreon at patreon.com/HeroPower. And until next time, we'll see you again next week.
And don't forget to use your hero power.
All right. So, Versika, thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week, sir.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye. All right.
All right. You'll wait for...
While you get everything flipped over for the production side, let's talk some more about Viforce.
Yes.
So I mentioned before that I'm working on getting my Viforce computer. The status of that is I have picked out all my parts. As I mentioned previously, I've already bought my case when I bought my wife's computer, and I've had that case for a few months now. Now, what I've done with that case is I got them to send that to me ahead of time, and I'm getting it painted up with the Hearthstone logos, my name across it, and the Hero Power logo, as well as a lot of other flair. I worked with the Viforce sales team to walk through the steps of getting that case ahead of time. Now I've ordered the parts. I had some life adjusting situations happen. I think I mentioned before, I had a death in the family, and there were some financial situations that allowed me to kind of have to dip into my computer funds, unfortunately. And I thought I was not going to be able to afford this computer. I had the case, it was being painted, it still is being painted, and I thought I'm not going to be able to get this computer, and I was really kind of let down. Well, Viforce team, their sales team and their customer service walked me through the steps of getting a quote. And they set that quote up for me. They put it in their system. I applied for a PayPal credit and was approved. So I am getting my Viforce computer through PayPal credit, 6 months with no interest, same as cash if I pay it off in the next 6 months, which I'll be able to do. And so all that whole process is done. They have the parts. They're working on making sure we have all the parts to assemble it once my case is done painted, and I can't wait to get my new Viforce computer and my freshly painted case. I'll make sure to post pictures in our Discord, and I'll write a blog about it on our website at HeroPowerHS.com. If you want to know more about Viforce, go over to heropowerhs.com and click on the Viforce link, and it'll take you right there.
That's right. All right. Thanks for any of you that are having to leave in chat. Thanks for joining us. We love having you here. But the rest of you that are staying, let's play some Paladin. So,
oh, yeah.
Zeroshio, go ahead and queue up. And as soon as you are ready, we are hoping to be matched up against some mages tonight. Is that right?
Mages and control warriors. Now, Paladin is not too bad. If they're the mid-range, it's not too bad. Aggro's a little tough. Because I don't know what version of Paladin, I'm probably going to keep the Doomsayer. We have Equality, Spike Ridge Steed, and Doomsayer.
So what are you normally looking for in your mulligans?
It really depends on your matchup. If you think your opponent's going to have an early start, you kind of want to get a hold of those Doomsayers. If you're going against Quest Warrior, or you think you're going to be against Quest Warrior, Dirty Rat's really good because you can pull some of those taunts out of their hand, and usually they're the low-cost ones that aren't very impressive, and they won't count towards their quest. So it really depends on what you're playing. In this case, we're just going to keep the Doomsayer.
Okay. So
and we'll hope to maybe get like an Acolyte of Pain, Wicker Flame Burn Bristle wouldn't be bad.
We ended up getting True Silver Champion and Elise, and then top decking Lay on Hands. So it's pretty high mana cost.
Yeah.
Pretty high curve.
We got a pretty high curve, which happens with this deck, unfortunately. But really, your first few turns is just kind of making dudes and managing the board. Seeing what he does, he mulliganed 2 cards. So he could be mid-range. He could be aggro. We'll see. This is probably the aggro variant. There's 2 of them out there with Finja and one without.
So what do you think about just Hero Power Pass here?
I like Hero Power Pass. If he had dropped anything that had more than 1 health, I would probably Doomsayer this turn just to slow his next turn. But I'm going to go ahead and Hero Power Pass so I have a good trade on the board. And next turn I may Doomsayer to set up for a True Silver turn.
Okay. So he now has 5. He's now representing 5 damage on the board.
So
and we top decked a Aldor Peacekeeper.
This is an interesting spot. Obviously, he's going in turn 3, which is probably going to be a War Leader turn.
Mm-hmm.
The thing with that is we want him to throw the War Leader out because we can take it out with our True Silver Champion next turn. But if we put out the Doomsayer now, it'll eat up both of those attacks, and we won't take any damage.
It'd be like having 7 armor.
Exactly. So I'm going to go ahead and throw out the Doomsayer, and I'm expecting him to War Leader and run both of those Murlocs into the Doomsayer, and then we'll kill the War Leader, slowing his turn down.
Okay. Neonic in chat says, trust him. There's absolutely no way he can kill the Doomsayer on turn 3.
That's not true. A War Leader would allow for him to be able to kill it. But he might not have the War Leader, which is good. This means it's going to slow this turn down. Here's the Inquisitor. Kind of curious about that play. Because he's basically sacrificing it unless he's finding a way to take out the Doomsayer.
Oh, there's the Bluegill. Yeah.
Okay.
So, really, the best draw here would be a Wild Pyro to clear the board.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I'd want to use Wild Pyro this soon. I think we just need to kind of slow him down. You're probably going to see a Megasaur next turn. It's likely with him throwing out as many Murlocs as he can.
Yep.
So I think we just go ahead and True Silver Champion down. I'm going to take down a 2/3 just because the 3/1 isn't... I mean, it's 1 extra damage, and it can be consecrated later.
Okay.
Or traded with a dude.
All right.
We just kind of have to stem the bleeding. We have Lay of Hands if we get to turn 8 to heal back a lot that we've lost. The Infested Torn is going to be a roadblock at some point, just to put it out there. I think if he had the Megasaur, he would have already chucked it out. He's taken some time to think.
Which means he could either A, not have the Megasaur, or B, have a couple of options for this turn and just trying to decide which one is best.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a second bluegill.
A buffed up bluegill.
That's correct. And there's the War Leader.
Yep. Which we're going to take that out with the other half of our True Silver Champion.
Right. But not
but
before he gets us to 11. Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting kind of low. Obviously, we have to make this trade. It's going to put us at 10. I think we have to put the Infested Tauren out.
I agree. You need some kind of roadblock here.
And then we really need to draw a Consecrate or
a Wild Pyromancer.
Wild Pyromancer. I'd probably even be fine with an Ivory Knight, so we can maybe get some high cost spells and heal.
Okay.
Dinomancy has made the value of Ivory Knight higher now. Not Dinomancy, Dino Size.
Dino Size,
it's an 8 mana spell that makes a minion a 10/10, but the 8 healing is just wonderful.
Yeah. So we are on turn 5.
He's trying to see if he can pull off a lethal. And there's the War Leader. That's going to do it.
Yeah, that's going to be lethal.
Yep, that'll do it. And this deck does suffer a bit from just aggro that gets a really good start.
He had everything he needed
to
win that game.
He sure did. So. He sure did. And that is my first loss with this deck, so I'm kind of proud of it.
Okay.
All right, we'll go ahead and queue in another one.
Okay. Do you think we should have turn 2 Doomsayered instead of Duding? Do you think that would have made
I don't think so, because I really don't think so, because he would have just delayed that turn, and we would have killed a 2/1. That's it.
Okay. All right. So now, question is, do we think this is Pirate or Control?
Well, one good thing you can look at is you can't tell what they mulligan, but you can see what cards they highlight over. The only time I see that that's not the case is if they're playing on a tablet. He just hovered over the first 2 cards. If he covered over the first one, then he's probably Pirate, because you wouldn't hover over your quest at all.
Okay. So in that case, our opening hand is Wild Pyro, 2 Acolytes of Pain, and a Doomsayer. What are you thinking is the keep here?
Since we have the coin, I like keeping the Pyromancer and the Doomsayer.
Okay.
And Acolyte's just
coin.
Yeah, Acolyte's just too slow if it is Pirate.
Okay. So throw back the 2 Acolytes and
he did throw away his first 2 cards, which means he is not Quest Warrior, because he would have thrown back the Quest.
Gotcha. He is in fact Pirate.
Yeah, this is an interesting spot. We could either coin out Doomsayer, or next turn we can Pyromancer and then use the coin, which would clear the board. I think coin out Doomsayer is probably the better play. We need to sustain our life as long as
possible,
much as we can.
Okay.
We do have Ivory Knight, so that's going to help us on turn 6.
Okay. Chat seems to agree with you about playing the Doomsayer now.
Or more specifically, Neonic seems to agree with me.
Yes. Our second place finisher in the Hero Power Patron tournament.
Him and I have very heated debates about Hearthstone and correct plays. So this is interesting. We can Doomsayer, and it's literally going to stall him a turn.
Yes, which would then bring us up to turn 3.
We don't have any good turn 3s, the only problem. Drawing into Wicker Flame would be good. But I think slowing him down a turn is probably the smart thing to do. I mean, if we throw out the Pyromancer, he's just going to weapon it down.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I think it's so basically. Let's think about it. If we slow him down, means he doesn't do anything but armor up this turn.
Pretty
Then
much.
Next turn, he probably plays a couple of pirates or he plays a frothing berserker.
So Doomsayer?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's not true, Neonic. You get to play rank 15 because even when you're legend, you start at rank 15.
So he goes
Okay,
with
so that-
the armor up.
And we
on
drew the Wicker Flame.
And drew into Wicker Flame. That's excellent. So
That's fabulous. So Wicker Flame, obviously.
yeah.
And if he does load the board up with some kind of big turn with multiple minions, we can Wild Pyromancer equality. Like here comes the Corsair, probably another.
Deckhand.
Now that's going to die, so I'm not too worried about that.
Okay.
Oh, that'll heal us back up to 29.
Yep. We are going the opposite direction Pirate Warriors want to go, which is good. What do you think about just dirty ratting here? I mean, he can clear it with the weapon and the pirate, but it leaves the pirate at 1, which sets it up for a wild pyro kill later.
Yeah, and we were going to have a weak Infested Tauren turn. That was going to be a really weak play anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Dirty Rat, if we get Cultist, that's probably the biggest win. I think we win if we get Cultist out of his hand. So you want to try Dirty Rat?
Well, I mean, even if we do get something good, we can clear the board next turn with the pyro equality play.
We sure can. We won't be punished too bad, even if it's Frothing Berserker.
So, Dirty Rat, dude.
There's Frothing Berserker. Yeah, we'll go ahead and dude. And see, the Frothing Berserker will likely only go up by 3, so it'll be a 5-4. Oh, wow, and he just now got Corsaired.
Which is value
Which is going to give
our...
us great value.
Yep.
Yep. And we can handle 5 damage. It's not a big deal. That Consecrate's going to be good next turn. Good to have next turn. I still like the Wild Pyro equality turn. What do you think?
I agree. I think that's the play here.
And the reason I threw up Dude by Force is just in case I had other options from my draw, I could use the 1/1 to trade into 3/1 if I drew maybe a True Silver Champion and wanted to make a better line than what we're going to do. So just to give us options. It wasn't going to hurt us by having the 1/1 out there. And that gets rid of the Frothing Berserker and the 5.
Correct. So that was a pretty good trade.
Do not play the Dirty Rat, please. I think it worked out just fine.
Yeah.
And Bloodstone Raider without any weapons, so. The Infested Tauren's going to eat up some damage here.
You could just throw out the Tauren and the Dirty Rat.
That'll be a lot of taunt, and we're betting that card is probably a spell. He's got 1 card, and it's going to take his resources. Yeah, I like the Infested Tauren Dirty Rat. Oh, Dirty Rat first, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Galaka Crawler, so he can't eat his own pirate.
Yep, so that's good.
That's
That prevents
good
it
to
being a
know.
3/4.
And we challenged the board pretty good here, and he's having to top deck now. So he's going to need to invest 2 minions into the Dirty Rat unless he draws into a weapon, which makes it hard for him to trade for the Infested Tauren.
Mm-hmm.
And any trading he does is going to set him up for Consecrate.
That's correct. Now he's trying to figure out, okay, I have 3 minions on the board. I didn't really draw what I wanted. I didn't get to play my Galaka Crawler for value. What are my options?
And there's a little gear on the bottom right-hand corner of his screen. If he clicks that, there's an option to concede. That wouldn't be a bad choice here for him.
Yeah. Chat says they like it when Pirate Warrior is having to top deck and you have 20 plus health.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and even any trades he makes here is not going to be good value for him, and he's set up for Consecrate real bad. Oh, the upgrade helps him.
Yeah.
It gives him false hope, though, because everything's going to be under 2 health. Did he get his attacks off? I don't think he did.
No.
He didn't, and that might have been by design.
But we top deck the other Infested Tauren, which is good.
It's good, but it's not great. I think we trade this 2/3 into the 5/2.
And play the Ivory Knot?
I think we still play the Infested Tauren.
Okay.
I think we still play the Infested Tauren, and then we go ahead and dude up.
Okay.
Because if he leaves any of his minions at 2/3, then we can finish it off with a Silverhand Recruit.
Okay. I like that play.
He's kind of in a really bad spot here. Okay. Hopefully he trades. It doesn't matter if he trades, to be honest. We can clear this whole board.
And hit him in the face for 2.
Yep. So we'll run the dude into the 3/3. We'll Consecrate. Trade one of these into the 2/1 remaining, and then go face and dude up.
Yep.
He'll probably try to still play a turn or two until he starts seeing healing. Once he sees healing, he's probably going to give up. So I want Ivory Knight into Dino size.
Oh, or Cairn?
I think we can wait on. Yeah, we're not low enough. We have to heal. Yeah, let's go ahead and Cairn.
Yeah.
Cairn, dude.
Yep, and hit him in the face for 3.
There's really no coming back for him at this point. Can't imagine him being able to come back from this at all. And I believe Meonix right. He should concede. Pirate Warrior is still one of the top played decks in Tier 1.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so easy to work around because you know the full deck list. It's pretty much the same deck list as it was for Mean Street, so it's easy to know exactly what they're going to draw. They've added Galaka Crawl in there, and a couple of them have added the new Ooze, the 3/3 that gives you armor, just to kind of fight for the mirror match.
Right.
But other than that, the deck's pretty much the same, minus the cards that phased out, of course, like Sir Finley. I think that might be it.
All right. Looks like he is just going to rope each turn.
Yeah, at this point he's taking his headset off. He's away from his computer. He's really lamenting on this match. Probably asking his grandma to make him some Hot Pockets, seeing if they have any Yoo-Hoo in the fridge. So I'm going to throw this steed on one of the dudes
Yeah.
and dude up and just keep going. Till I get the message that my
He has
opponent
left. Yeah.
See, now he's not even touching his computer because it roped immediately.
Oh, he hovered over his hero power.
Yep, he did. We'll just toss Tyrion down just to.
Way to
Put our
go!
faith
Now,
in the line.
now you made chat hungry for hot pockets,
That's right. Hot pockets.
and I could
dunk
go,
it in the
and I
toilet.
could go for a yoo-hoo.
Hot pockets are horrible.
Uh,
I like YooHoo. Chocolate water. I mean, what's bad
not
about
to like,
chocolate water?
right?
Have you had the strawberry YooHoos? Those are really good. We need to get YooHoo to sponsor the show. Just so I can have free YooHoos. All right. And see, you get that a lot out of
One and
Pirate
one.
Warrior. I don't know. I don't understand the mentality. You play Pirate Warrior because they're very fast games to go up the ladder. But once you get beat early game and you know you've lost, most mentality of aggro decks have been to concede and move to the next game.
Right.
But not with Pirate Warrior. Pirate Warrior will rope every turn hoping that you disconnect or something. I don't know. I don't know what the mentality is. It's just weird to me.
All right. Well, we're
I've
one
only
and
really
one.
seen that with Pirate Warrior though.
Yeah. Have you left that matchup yet? Am I stuck in the
Oh
spectator?
yeah, I think you're stuck because I'm in my next one against the mage.
All right.
So my mulligan, while you're getting back into it, is Equality, Dirty Rat, Wild Pyromancer.
So against mage, what are you looking for in the mulligan?
Doomsayer's okay. Dirty Rat's actually not bad because you can get an Arcanologist out of their hand, which means they don't get that secret.
Okay.
Acolyte of Pain, you want to keep Acolyte of Pain. That's about it. So I'm going to keep the Dirty Rat here. And the Equality Wild Pyromancer is not going to get a lot of value because they're not going to flood the board with minions.
We drew Wild Pyro Consecration.
Not great. The Consecration may not be bad to deal with the early minions.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to go into turn 2.
So we top deck the Doomsayer.
He picked up 2 cards from his mulligan. He obviously would have sent any huge minions back. So 2 of those mulligan cards and the card he drew this past turn could be a huge punish if we Dirty Rat. But do you want to try to get like an Arcanologist?
Well, if it is a huge minion, say we grab Alex Straza, how do we deal with that?
We don't. So we may want to save Dirty Rat for turn 4 when we can Doomsayer with him. So let's just go ahead and dude up this turn.
Yeah. If you're going to Dirty... I always feel like, a lot of people are all about that turn 2 Dirty Rat. I feel like you need to have a way to deal with whatever comes
you're
out.
right. You're right. Oh, that's not that great. He's going to get draw value off of the Acolyte of Pain.
Right. What do you think about... What do you think about Doomsayering now? So he only gets he would get 2 cards off of that this turn because he would run it into 1/1 and ping it, and that would be his turn.
I really would love to couple that with Dirty Rat, but I think you're right. Doomsayer's probably the turn. We could just put out Wild Pyromancer, which trades evenly into Acolyte of Pain.
That's true too.
I mean, he'll get a card value off of Silverhand Recruit.
Okay, and then next turn, Dirty Rat Doomsayer?
Yeah, I think so. Let's go ahead and Wild Pyromancer just to have presence on the board. Just go face. Yeah, he'll get his card value. And hopefully he'll just ping it for another draw. Nope,
Yep.
he's going to Arcane Intellect.
Okay.
This will deny one.
So now,
extra.
from what we've seen, do we feel like this is Freeze Mage?
I think it probably is Freeze Mage. And if we dirty rat out his Alexstrasza, how does he clear our Doomsayer?
He would have to have a fireball in hand to fireball the Dirty Rat and then run Alexstrasza into Doomsayer.
So he could do it.
He very well could.
You think it's worth the risk?
Only one way to find out.
I like it. Let's Dirty Rat. It's fine. And then I'm going to go ahead and clear the Acolyte, and I am going to go ahead and Doomsayer.
Okay.
Because there's not really going to be a lot of other times to do it.
He's going to
Here's
probably
a glyph. To a glyph, into a glyph, into a glyph, until he gets burned. Because that's what they do.
Oh, going to face.
So if he's using burn on our face when he's not at full hand, that tells me that he hasn't drawn into his Alexstrasza yet. And we drew into the equality. That'll be good if he gets into Alexstrasza.
So, Wicker Flame dude here?
I like that. He'll probably be able to deal with the Wicker Flame. But it'll use up some of his burn resources. And he used a Frostbolt, and we pulled out, but he used Valet. So he's running out of small burn.
This is what he top decked, isn't it? Arcanologist.
Arcanologist. Which we can true silver champion that down. We can dude that down.
Yep.
This is Gunther Mage. Well, no, maybe not. Because Babbling Book's usually not in Gunther Mage.
Right.
It's usually in Freeze Mage, so I think you're right, it is Freeze Mage.
So, True Silver, clear the board, dude.
Sounds like the play. And he used a freezing potion mainly because he got it, and it's really one of the worst potions. He didn't hold it though, so he probably doesn't run Antonitis, or he at least doesn't have it in his hand.
And there's the secret he got off the Arcanologist.
And there's the Valet.
Yep.
Denying some healing, but not enough for it to be too much of a worry.
So clear the Valet with the weapon charge.
Yeah.
And run the 1/1 in.
Yeah, and then I think we just Hero Power
And pass.
Pass. Yeah, it seems bad. And honestly, Ragnarok's next turn doesn't seem good. Unless he goes a burn crazy turn right here.
What do you think? Do you suspect
maybe he will.
This could be Mirror Entity?
I don't think it's Mirror Entity. I mean, we could test for Mirror Entity.
Do you think it could be Counterspell?
It could be Counterspell. Do you think we use Equality here to test for Counterspell?
Well, you could Equality. If it's not, then you can run 1/1 in to clear and then play Spike Ridge Steed.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay. This is almost assuredly ice blocked. So, Spike Ridge. Definitely not Spellbender.
Right.
Because it was a secret he got off of Arcanologist, not one he got off like Babbling Book or something else.
It's also not
So it's
Ice
something
Barrier.
from his deck. Yeah, it's either Ice Block, Mirror Entity, or Polymorph. And I doubt it's Mirror Entity or Polymorph main deck.
So, what do you think about playing Cairn here in case it is Mirror Entity? I mean,
Well,
it's
then
probably
he'll get a 4/5 on his side.
he would get a 4/5. We would have a 4/5 and a 2/6.
Yeah, I mean, we can't clear Doomsayer. Best we can do is 6 points of damage to it.
So, do you want to just play Wild Pyro and attack face and pass?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get much value, and if the Wild Pyro will at least pop Mirror Entity, if it is Mirror Entity, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, we at this point it's either Mirror Entity or Ice Block. Those
I mean,
are
it
the
could be
only two
pushing a
options.
Polymorph. Yeah, it's Ice Block. So now we go face and dude, because we always use our hero power.
Don't forget to
Then-
use your hero power.
That's right. We'd already tested for Ice Barrier with the previous turn, so we know it wasn't Ice
That's true.
Barrier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a glyph.
It's probably going to be a Cairn turn.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Though Ragnaros won't have a huge amount of value in. Well, probably want to rag after Alex Trousers.
What do you? Well, oh, there's another secret.
Second secret. Off the Archaeologist, which means it's probably Ice Barrier.
Well, I would say attack face first, just to test for it. So it's
Oh.
not Ice Barrier.
Probably Counterspell then. So let's Truce over Champion down the 2/3.
Okay.
They just don't run. They just don't main deck Mirror Entity usually. Do we risk the Cairn here?
How do we
What do you-
deal with it if it is? That's the question.
Brute Force.
Okay.
We got healing to deal with it, so let's Cairn. I really don't think it's Mirror Entity. Oh God, Polymorph, please, no. Ah, punished. Mad at Arms. You're right. I wait. I just not seen Mirror Entity lately. There's Flame Strike. Still not the end of the world, though.
So what about Infested Tauren? Infested Tauren attack face with the Bane. And then Dude.
What about clear the top half of Cairn and Consecrate? We have much use for Consecrate. He's gotten rid of. He's used a Babbling Book, 2 Archaeologists, 2 Loot Hoarders.
You could Consecrate and Infested Tauren and clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
So we'll hit that with our face. Consecrate. It gets us a little low, but I think we're still safe. We have healing for next turn. Festive Torn, and then we'll go face, and we'll dude up. Oh, we can lay on hands next turn. We can Ragnaros Light Lord next turn. I mean, we're still 2 turns from a lethal.
Right.
Or not, unless he has the Frostbolt. Fireball, Frostbolt. Crap. Yeah, played right in. I've made some bad misplays.
3 fireballs.
Discounted Primordial Glyph. Yeah, those are some bad judgment calls on my end. I don't think the Cairn. He would have been 1 off lethal if we didn't hit Cairn with our face.
Right. All right. Well, we went 1 and 2 with it.
Yeah, and I think we could have won that last one. I haven't played Freeze Mage with it. It's mainly been Gunther Mage, so that's my first
Freeze Mage.
foray at the Freeze Mage matchup. So
Yeah. All right.
I
Well,
still really like this deck.
yeah, yeah. So tell us, last thoughts about the deck itself.
There may be some teching to do with for some of the aggro matchups. Freeze Mage is a tough matchup, anyways. I really would have loved to play some against some Control Warrior, but we did really well against the Pirate Warrior. So
Yeah.
I'm happy with it so far. When I look at my Hearthstone tracker, I'm 6-2 with the deck. So
Okay.
that is a 75% win rate.
Cool. Well, N'Zoth is one of my all-time favorite archetypes. I will
Oh, yeah.
play any class N'Zoth just because it's so much fun. I love the death rattle mechanic, so I'm looking forward to actually checking this deck out and playing it some after the show. But with that said, guys, that's going to do it for us tonight. If you have any questions or comments about the show, please email us at heropowerpodcast@gmail.com. Do us a favor, if you haven't done so already, and hit that subscribe button below on YouTube. And if you haven't, give us a follow on Twitch to be alerted to when we go live. All right, guys. Until next time, good gaming.
Bye, guys.